Have you noticed literally everyone is talking about a 48-team World Cup? More teams, more matches, more countries dreaming of absolute glory. But honestly, a whole lot more confusion. If you ask 10 different football fans how the 2026 format actually works, you're probably going to get 10 completely different answers. Well, today, we're making it simple. Welcome to this explainer where we completely decode the 2026 World Cup format.
Because that's the exact question every fan is wondering right now, right? How does this actually work? Like, is there really a round of 32 now? How many teams actually advance out of the groups? Well, don't worry. Over the next few minutes, we are breaking down the 2026 format in the absolute simplest way possible. No confusing charts, I promise, just clear, straight answers.
All right, Section 1, the 48-team confusion.
Now, to really understand the new setup, we kind of have to look back at the old one. For decades, the World Cup featured exactly 32 teams, just 32. It was this beloved, perfectly symmetrical classic format that millions of us literally grew up with. 8 groups, 4 teams in each group, and then boom, straight into the round of 16. It was simple, it was clean, and honestly, the math just made total sense.
But, as we know, for 2026, FIFA decided to expand the tournament to 48 teams. 48! I mean, just think about the sheer scale of that jump. That is 16 extra countries getting their chance on football's biggest stage. Now, in theory, that means more representation, more of those incredible Cinderella stories we all love, and more nations experiencing that pure World Cup magic for the very first time. But, in practice, adding 16 teams meant that old perfect structure had to just go entirely out the window.
Which brings us to Section 2, 12 groups of 4.
Okay, let's dive into this math here. Instead of those classic 8 groups of 4, 2026 will feature 12 groups of 4. So if you're keeping score at home, 12 groups multiplied by 4 teams per group, well, that gives us our full expanded field of 48 nations. Make sense? So far, so good?
But here is where we hit a massive math problem. In the old format, the top 2 teams advance, right? Well, this time around, the top 2 teams from each of the 12 groups still automatically qualify. But wait, 12 times 2 is only 24. And the very first knockout round? Yeah, it requires 32 teams, so where on earth do those extra 8 spots come from?
Let's look at Section 3, the third place lifeline.
Now, what's really interesting here is that the answer to those missing 8 spots is the best third-place teams. Yes, finishing in third suddenly matters a whole lot. After all the group matches wrap up, FIFA is going to rank all 12 of the third-place teams based on their overall performance. The 8 best advance, and the bottom 4, well, they pack their bags and go home. It's an absolute lifeline, meaning that literally every single goal scored and conceded becomes incredibly crucial.
So, how does that work in practice? Every team still plays their 3 group matches under the standard point system we all know. You get 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and 0 for a loss. Nothing new there. But because these third-place teams are suddenly going to be compared against teams from groups they didn't even play in, those standard points are about to create absolute chaos across the entire tournament.
Because what happens if teams from entirely different groups finish level on points? Well, football loves a good spreadsheet. We go straight to the tiebreakers. First up, we look at total points. If they're tied there, we look at goal difference. If that's somehow still tied, we look at total goals scored before moving on to even more obscure tiebreakers. Just picture this, a team desperately pushing for one more goal in the final 90th minute of a match, completely exhausted, knowing that just one extra notch on their goal difference might bump them up into those top 8 third-place spots and literally save their entire tournament. I mean, the desperate fight for survival is going to be absolutely amazing to watch.
Moving right along to Section 4, the new knockout gauntlet.
Let's move on and see exactly how this builds into a daunting survival of the fittest path. The absolute biggest addition here is Step 1, the round of 32. This is a stage that literally did not exist in the previous format. Now, 32 teams remain, and from this point onward, it's brutally simple. Win and survive. You battle through the round of 32, then the round of 16, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and finally, the final. That is 7 knockout rounds in total for whoever eventually lifts the trophy. It's a longer road, way more pressure, and vastly more chances for some massive upsets.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, why change the format?
There are really 2 main sides to this massive structural debate. Officially, FIFA's primary goal here is global inclusion. Expanding the tournament allows a lot more countries from historically underrepresented regions like Africa, Asia, North America, and Oceania to participate and really grow the game back home. However, on the flip side, there is genuine, totally understandable fan concern about diluted match quality by letting in 16 additional teams. Honestly, both sides make totally valid points here, and it's something we're all just going to have to watch unfold impartially out on the pitch.
So the crucial point is, when you strip it all away, the basic breakdown is this: 12 groups of 4. The top 2 advance. The 8 best third-place teams join them. And finally, 32 teams enter a massive knockout stage. See? Despite the scary numbers, it's actually quite simple when you break it down. And one thing is for sure, it guarantees more stories and unforgettable underdog moments. Somewhere among those 48 nations could be a team literally nobody expects, just waiting to make history.
All of this leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought to ponder. Will expanding the World Cup actually make it better or just bigger? Well, we are about to find out, and the journey is going to be absolutely fascinating. If this explainer helped clear up the 48-team confusion for you, make sure to subscribe. We'll have more explainers designed to make these complex topics incredibly easy to understand. Because let's be real, this game is complicated enough without needing a calculator just to follow the biggest tournament on Earth. With 2026 approaching fast, there's a lot more to explain. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.